They said it was just a story. They said the book didn't even exist, but I held it in my hands. A manuscript so old the pages cracked like dry leaves. The title, erased, the author, unknown, the script, faded Arabic and symbols I'd never seen. But there was something about the way it was locked away, in a dusty corner of a library that wasn't open to the public, that told me this was no ordinary book. If you liked this video, please hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more amazing content. And when I started reading, I understood why some people would want it hidden forever. The opening lines chilled me. These are the accounts of those who walked the earth before you saw the sun, of those who whispered in the dark before your kind was made from clay. It wasn't just about the Jinn. It was written from their perspective. The pages spoke of their birth from smokeless fire, their kingdoms that stretched across deserts and seas, their wars that painted the skies black with ash, and then the fall, a fall so catastrophic it tore the fabric between their world and ours. But here's the part that made me pause. It wasn't the battles or the power that shocked me. It was the secret they claimed was passed among the highest of their kind. That certain humans, without knowing it, carry something the Jinn desperately want and fear. The manuscript called it Al-Aman, the safeguard. It wasn't an object. It wasn't a weapon. It was something within the human being, planted there by Allah himself, something the Jinn could never replicate. The book described how some of them, those who rebelled with Iblis, have spent centuries trying to corrupt this safeguard in us, not by attacking directly, but by distracting, deceiving, and leading us to destroy it ourselves. That was the moment I had to close the book because what it described sounded terrifyingly familiar. Think about it. The Qur'an says, "Indeed, my servants, you have no authority over them, except those who follow you of the deviators." If the Jinn have no direct power over us, then why do so many of us live in fear of them? It's because they understood long ago. If they can't break the safeguard, they'll make us hand it over willingly. The rest of the manuscript went deeper. It listed times, places, and habits that, according to them, make the safeguard weaker, and the first one was something most people do without thinking. The first warning in the manuscript was written in thick, uneven strokes, as if the writer's hand shook while carving the words, "Guard the thresholds of night." At first, I didn't understand what that meant. But as I read on, the book described the threshold as the time after Maghrib, when the sun disappears and the horizon bleeds into darkness. This, it claimed, was when the veil between our world and theirs thins, and their movement becomes restless. I thought of the hadith in Sahih Muslim, where the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "When night falls, restrain your children, for the devils spread out at that hour, when a portion of the night has passed. Then release them." The manuscript mirrored this, but in chilling detail. It said that at this threshold, the rebellious Jinn send out seekers not to attack humans directly, but to find signs of neglect, signs that the safeguard has been left unguarded. The examples were disturbingly familiar. A home without the mention of Allah at night, food and drink left uncovered, doors unlocked without Bismillah, and, most dangerous of all, humans entertaining themselves in ways that invite the unseen without realizing it. The book claimed that these moments act like keys left in the lock of the safeguard. The Jinn cannot force their way in, but if they find the door unlatched, they don't need to. I sat back, the words echoing in my head, because this wasn't some random superstition. It aligned perfectly with the Prophet's peace be upon him advice. Cover your vessels, tie your water skins, close your doors saying Bismillah, and extinguish your lamps at night. The manuscript then shifted to another threshold, one not bound by time but by emotion. It said, "Guard the flame of your chest, for it is the spark they seek." This, I realized, was talking about anger. The text claimed that when a human loses control in rage, their safeguard flickers, and in that moment, a rebellious Jinn can whisper directly into the heart more easily than at any other time. I thought of the hadith in Sunan Abi Dawood, where the Prophet, peace be upon him, saw a man in anger and said, I know a word which if he said it, what he feels would go away. If he said, I seek refuge with Allah from Shaitan, it would go away. The manuscript described it almost the same way, but added that sustained anger can weaken the safeguard over years, making the person a long-term target. And then came the third threshold, silence. Not the peaceful kind, but the silence of neglect, days or weeks without dhikr, without Qur'an, without a single conscious turn of the heart toward Allah. The book claimed that this silence is like a garden left untended, and the weeds that grow are not all seen. It struck me then, this safeguard wasn't some secret magical shield. It was our iman, our remembrance of Allah, our obedience to His commands. Something so normal to us that we forget its value, but to the Jinn, it's the one thing they can never possess, and their greatest threat. And if that's true, then the most dangerous secret in this banned book wasn't about them at all. It was about us. The final chapters of the manuscript were the most faded, as if time itself had tried to erase them. But the words that remained were enough to understand why this book wasn't meant to be found. It spoke of a human whose safeguard was not just intact, but awakened. The description was strange, almost poetic. His tongue is a blade the fire cannot touch. His gaze is light that blinds the unseen. His footsteps burn the earth for those who hate the truth. This wasn't some mythical superhero. The manuscript was describing the spiritual state of someone who lives in constant remembrance of Allah, morning and evening, adhkar. Quran recitation not just in ritual, but with reflection. And a heart that turns to Allah in every decision, every reaction. It claimed that such a person is invisible to the seekers among the rebellious Jinn, not because they can't be seen physically, but because the spiritual light around them is unbearable to approach. I couldn't help but think of the hadith where the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, the example of the one who remembers his Lord and the one who does not remember his Lord is like the living and the dead. In the Jinn's own words, this safeguard, when fully alive, was like a fortress surrounded by fire and angels. No whisper could cross its walls, no trap could be laid inside. But the manuscript didn't stop there. It warned that those who awaken their safeguard become targets of a different kind of attack, not from the Jinn directly, but from humans they influence, people who mock your piety, who tempt you into just one compromise, who try to drag you into arguments or drown you in worldly distractions. The book described it chillingly. If they cannot storm your fortress, they will try to starve you out. And this was the most important line in the entire manuscript. The safeguard is not a wall you build once. It is a fire you must feed every day. Let it go cold and the shadows will return. It hit me then that everything in this so-called banned Jinn book wasn't teaching me about them. It was teaching me about us, about how we live, about whether our iman is active or dormant. The shock wasn't that the Jinn exist or that they have their own strategies. We already know that from the Qur'an and Sunnah. The shock was realizing how easily we hand them the keys to our own hearts. Every missed prayer, every night passed without dhikr, every outburst of uncontrolled anger, every moment the Qur'an gathers dust on a shelf. Those are the cracks in the safeguard, and they're watching, always watching. The manuscript ended abruptly, mid-sentence, as if the rest had been torn away. And when the day comes, the seekers will be bound, and the fortress will stand or fall by the light it has kept. I closed the book slowly, my hands trembling not from fear of them, but from the weight of knowing that the real danger isn't the Jinn themselves. It's living as if the safeguard doesn't matter, and maybe that's the greatest secret they never wanted you to know. That the strongest protection against them was given to you the day you were born, and whether it burns brightly or fades into darkness is entirely in your hands. If you liked this video, please hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more amazing content.